circumstances are surrounding the murder of Stephanie Scott?
I can't really remember.
Sorry?
I think it went a little nuts.
You went a little nuts, did you? And can you tell me what you mean by going a little nuts?
Couldn't stop myself from doing it.
What feeling came over you? Like, what did you feel?
That I had to kill her. I wasn't angry or anything. Basically emotionless, just that I had to kill her.
The bride-to-be goes missing days before her wedding.
Best way to describe him is evil.
Something more happened potentially in the Netherlands.
And I look into his eyes and like black holes.
Identical twin brother, identical DNA.
What they unearthed was disturbing.
We obviously knew through the investigation that Vincent Stanford, he spent all of his childhood in the Netherlands, having been born in Tasmania.
Police wanted to know what he was getting up to in the Netherlands. What they unearthed was disturbing.
Okay. And do you have any, like you say, you had mental problems and aggression in the past. Have you had any issues with that, like with the police or anyone like that?
In Holland,
Yeah.
about 10 or 12 years ago, I attacked a teacher and was put into a mental hospital for 2 months.
Okay. How old were you then?
13 or 14 years old.
What did you do to that teacher?
I tried to strangle her.
There were a few incidents that we know that Vincent took part in his school life. One happened in the college that he went to when he was a teenager. He was in a place in the school where he wasn't allowed to be. He was walking the hallway when there were classes, or, you know, in school, sometimes you're not allowed to be in certain places. And the teacher noticed him and grabbed him by the shoulder to tell him that he couldn't be there. And Stanford responded by trying to choke this person. This person then pressed charges against Stanford, and he was subsequently removed from school and placed into an institution for a few months. We were able to speak to a few people that knew him around that time from the neighborhood in Zoetermeer. So we found out a little bit more about his personality as a young teenager, mostly that people didn't really like to hang around with him. He had a bit of an aura of you don't really want to, you know, be friends with him.
I noticed that Vincent was always walking with his head down, almost running, and made no contact with other persons on the street. My name is Mireille Antonissen. I was Vincent's boss when he worked in the Netherlands.
Many times I see him, I'm thinking, yeah, a little bit strange guy. He's young, and yeah, I'm an open guy, and I say to him, hello. I'm Richard Antonissen. I was Vincent's boss in Holland.
Because he was always walking around with no purpose, we asked him, well, do you want to work for us?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Scott.
Richard and Maria showed some kindness to their shy and socially awkward neighbour, and they gave Vincent Stanford his job as a cleaner in their business.
He was a hard worker.
But he was a very quiet person. He didn't have any social skills. He once came over for dinner, and my children are watching him because he didn't even know how to use his knife and fork. We were just there to help him and to give him a better life. And at home it was also not very cozy, so we just tried to help him. I know that Vincent had one time a temper to my husband, because my husband told him that his work wasn't good.
And I say to him, hey, please have respect for the staff here in this building. He don't like it when somebody say to him, you must work better.
After Richard told Vincent not to slam doors in the office they were cleaning, he went downstairs to continue working. But Vincent Stanford charged down the stairs and attacked him.
I was cleaning the coffee machine, and then he was maybe standing 5 meters from me, and then I see to him his body language, and exploded in his head. From 0 to 100, you can, yeah, he can explode it. He come running to me, and I think, oh, what? I'm looking to his eyes, and like black holes. I take him on the floor, and then later I'm thinking, hey, this is very strange.
Court documents even show that Vincent fantasized about murdering Richard.
It's kind of scary that his thoughts are to kill my husband. I feel really betrayed because we only tried to do the best for him.
From both of these incidents, the one at the school and the one with his boss in the cleaning job, you get an idea that he really doesn't like authority and that this is really something that's a problem for him.
He chose a specific moment to attack. And that's something, of course, that is what we see in more serious offenders committing more serious types of crimes. They sort of know when to attack. I'm Dr. Jasper van der Kemp. I'm a criminologist based at the Free University in Amsterdam. My main expertise is working on serial offending and recognizing serial offenders and serial committed crimes by the offenders. If you have a look at the crime that has been committed by Vincent Stanford, so you would assume he didn't start off with committing this serious crime now in Australia, but he had committed similar type of crimes or deviant types of behaviors beforehand in the Netherlands. You would assume there would have been some trial or experimental behavior beforehand before committing the actual crime. Peeping Tom behavior, stalking type of behavior, and specifically fantasizing quite significantly about it. So attempted rape, for instance. He might have tried out some forms of sexual behavior with a girlfriend, for instance, or even with a prostitute, just to try and experience these kinds of behaviors. I definitely think that the Dutch police should have a look at the time Stanford was in the Netherlands, where he was living, what his routines were. The likelihood of him committing other types of crimes beforehand is at least worth looking into. Rape is something that's at least a possibility because we know not all victims of rape report to the police.
If Dutch police had Vincent's DNA, they could rule him out as a suspect in any unsolved crimes. Australian police actually tried to hand Vincent's DNA to Dutch police, but they weren't interested.
The Dutch police say they never got any DNA from Australia, but did say they asked the Australian authorities multiple times about sending the DNA. So somehow this got sort of lost in translation, probably. The DNA was never, at least in the Netherlands, and is never analyzed in the Netherlands as part of the comparison to our national DNA data bank, for instance.
In relation to your anger, you've made reference of at the jail in the interview that it's only 2 times in your life that you've succumb to your anger feelings. Like you said, you walk around, it's not uncommon for you to walk around and have these feelings that you're going to kill a person, they've done nothing to you, but you haven't acted on those except for 2 occasions.
Yeah.
Once upon the teacher at Zoetermeer. In Holland, Zoetermeer, is it?
Yeah.
Is that how you say it? Yep. And with Stephanie Scott.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, and you've said that Stephanie and you didn't talk at all beforehand, you didn't anything like that. Okay. And they're the only 2 occasions in your life that you've let the anger get the better of you and you've acted on it.
He chose to sort of flee from the Netherlands because he committed crimes or because he was very seriously thinking about crimes and didn't want the risk to get caught. And that's why he chose to go to a place as far as possible from the Netherlands.
It is really strange to all of a sudden pack up and leave and go to a very small town in Australia where they don't have any connections. You know, it was only a year after he moved to Australia that he committed this horrific crime. You start to wonder if something more happened potentially in the Netherlands.
In that incident, even as a young person, he was demonstrating breaching of boundaries and breaching of rules. In breaching some of those boundaries, it is also a way that an offender can test potential victims' reactions. So it is not just engaging in an interest that he finds gratifying at the time, it's actually also part of his rehearsal for later offending.
So, prior to the murder of Stephanie Scott, did you leave the school at any time?
No.
Okay. So you're saying you stayed there the whole time that she was there?
Yes.
Okay. We've obviously got other statements that they've told us that you went home around 12:30 p.m, around lunchtime.
Yeah, that was after she was dead.
That was after she was dead, was it? Okay, why'd you go home then?
Bring my car back.
Okay, so that's around 12:30 p.m. You're saying you've murdered her by that stage?
Yeah.
Where was Stephanie? Where did you leave Stephanie at that time?
When I went home?
Yeah, when you went home to have, so you had something to eat?
Yeah. I think she was still in the store at that time.
You just left her in the store?
Yeah.
Was she alive or?
She was dead.
She was dead? Okay. When you went home, what'd you have to eat?
Sandwich with cheese on it.
Yep.
And some coffee.
Did you use the microwave at all or?
No.
No.
In the early hours of Monday morning, after Vincent had cleaned up and was back at home, he drove Stephanie's car to the Kokopara National Park, about 70 kilometres north of Leiden. And set her body alight.
I put her in her car I drove the car to my home until the evening, and I went to pick up my car, put it in my house. At night, I drove to Kookaburra National Park. I dumped her just past Jack's Creek, the left-hand side. I burned her body. I drove her car back to Pike Road, and I walked home.
Then he was contacted by police, and that was the initial contact by the detectives to ask him about whether he'd been at the school and he'd seen Stephanie there. He denied that. He made that statement. He then, for reasons that I do not know, drove back to Kookaburra National Park, where he took those 2 photographs of Stephanie's body. But I cannot give any explanation or reason why he would go back to that location. I asked him, and his explanation was he just wanted to see whether she was still there.
When I first saw him, he told me that he felt nothing or didn't really feel much at all. So the way he conveys it is that it was like nothing much had happened. I'm not totally convinced that's true, and I suspect it probably gave him a thrill because I suspect he enjoyed what he did.
What did you go back there for?
Just wanted to see if she was still there.
What did you think might have happened to her if you just wanted to see if she was still there?
Thought maybe the wildlife would have taken her.
On your camera, you had 2 photos of a deceased body.
Yes.
Are those photographs of Stephanie?
Yes.
Can you tell me why you took those photographs of Stephanie?
No.
Another striking element of the images that Vincent Stanford took, both of Stephanie's body and also the females that he stalked prior to her murder, was that these images were from the neck down. Your face is what conveys emotion and connection to other people, and that is meaningless for Vincent Stanford. It also demonstrates a person who clearly had no remorse because he was able to revisit her body and engage in these activities to capture images. That's not the behaviour of somebody who feels badly about what they've just committed.
During the second interview, his demeanour was different to the first one. He was more sure of himself. He was still emotionless, still described as evil, but he had a confidence about him now. Do you remember making a comment about good luck finding her, or?
Yeah, good luck with the search.
Yep. Was that did you genuinely mean that, or you knew she was burnt dead somewhere? Did you mean that, or?
I know she was burnt. Might have meant the comment.
You meant yep.
Yeah.
Did you want us to find Stephanie?
No, I didn't want to get caught, but...
Yep. What did you think would happen if you got caught?
Would have gone to jail.
Yep. Okay, so you didn't want that. You knew it wasn't right what you did.
Yeah.
Yep. And he was smirking, which was unnerving, particularly when he's talking about Stephanie, and seemed to be enjoying discussing certain aspects of it. And that's how it got to the stage where we were talking about the bra. Why'd you keep the bra? Like, you've disposed of everything else, why the bra?
I honestly don't know.
Don't know?
Maybe I wanted a souvenir.
Yep.
Yeah.
Something to remember it by.
Probably, but I had no real reason to keep it.
Why the bra, though? Why not any other item?
I think it was clean.
Did you wash the bra?
I chuck it in the washing once, yeah.
When somebody with that interest commits a crime, such as a sexual murder, It is common for them to keep what can be referred to as trophy items. It's a way that they can relive that fantasy.
Can you tell me why you chose the bra to take as a souvenir?
Not really. I think maybe the dress was too messed up from getting it off her, torn a bit.
And did you like her bra?
Didn't really care, to be honest.
What came next was something neither of Detective Clark and Detective Milne could have predicted.
Once the crime scene had been declared at Vincent's, we got his mother back to the station, and his mother stated that he had an identical twin brother.
Learning that Vincent was an identical twin and that his identical twin was in Australia was shocking.
When hearing that in investigation, my heart sank. Identical twin brother, identical DNA. What have I got here? Is this real? Am I really dealing with someone that I think may have committed a murder and who's got an identical twin brother out there somewhere? Anything that I could get, any DNA I get, there's another person out there that matches that DNA. And immediately had to look at, where is this twin brother? Where is he?
At Mount Barker CIB, where I worked, we were sent an inquiry from New South Wales Police to obtain a statement from Marcus Stanford, and the detectives in Leeton wanted to basically work out where Marcus was at the time of the offence. I'm Mark Baker. I managed the South Australian component of the investigation into Marcus Stanford, the twin brother of the accused, Vincent Stanford.
Do you agree there's your number there?
Yeah.
And then there's Vincent's number there.
Yeah.
So during that phone call,
yeah,
are you able to indicate what it was he spoke about then?
Basically, I called him because he wanted to contact me on the 5th, and he didn't call again. So I called him, see if he was after anything in particular. Then he asked for my address because he wanted to send me an envelope. And what else did we talk about? Pretty much his work. Yeah.
Okay. Did he tell you what he was doing at the time?
I don't believe so, no.
My gut was telling me that he was not being 100% truthful with me.
Do you agree that he made a phone call, administration phone call to you?
Yes.
On that morning?
Yes.
Or during that day anyway?
Yeah.
And it went for approximately 40 minutes?
40?
40.
I don't believe so.
No? How long do you think it went for?
Maybe 10.
10.
I don't believe they're allowed to make phone calls that long.
They're only allowed, well, as you would be aware, it is 6-minute limits on phone calls. Yeah. But for an administration call, the first call, your admin call, there's no time limit on that call.
Oh, okay.
He indicated he had no knowledge of what had happened, what his brother had been up to. And then we located on some phone records that there were a number of text messages that took place on the day that Stephanie disappeared between Vincent and Marcus. Those messages were deleted.
My feelings when dealing with Marcus is that he was being deliberately vague. I just found that he was difficult to pin down for finer detail.
Okay, so have you at any point spoken with Vincent about the murder of Stephanie Scott?
I've never actually discussed his charges with him. No.
Has he ever mentioned any of the times that you've spoken with him? Has he ever mentioned to you anything that he did in relation to the murder of Stephanie Scott?
Only thing he's ever said that I was pleading guilty, but that was a while back.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's still the case, but he never actually discussed what he did. No.
Okay.
I learned more about it from reading the news and the brief than I did from him.
Speaking to Marcus about the relationship with his brothers, he had a half-brother and he had another brother that was living in Leeton. When he spoke about his twin brother, it was always obviously referenced in a different way. It was almost like he looked up to him. Speaking to him, you had a feeling that out of the two of them, Vincent was probably more of the alpha than Marcus was.
Okay, so this is Vincent's house with his mother.
Mark went about locating Marcus, getting a statement from him, statement from his flatmates, statement from his employer, employee records, and he was able to place Marcus Stanford in Mount Barker at the time Stephanie went missing, which is 9-10 hour drive from where we are here.
So did you ask him if he did it?
No, didn't.
I spoke to Stephanie's family many times, had a lot of contact with them. One of the things that they really sought was the engagement ring. And I made a promise to them that I would make every attempt that I could to find that engagement ring.
So what clothes did you have of hers at that time?
Everything she wore, her short pants, her sandals, her underwear, her bra and her shirt.
And a shirt?
Yeah.
Okay. What about her earrings, engagement ring?
Don't know, might have taken that off earlier.
As soon as I started asking about the rings, he picked up on it straight away. He had so much detail about objects that didn't matter of hers to him. But with the rings, he sensed, or I felt he sensed, I was looking for those. So he just was really flippant in his answers.
But her engagement ring, you remember taking that?
Yeah.
Where
to high school.
Where'd you put her engagement ring?
Don't know. Chucked so much stuff out.
Yep. So you got rid of that with the clothes, did you, or?
I would have chucked it in a bin somewhere when I chucked everything else out,
But it was him in that interview that alerted us that she had 2 rings. Even the family thought it was just the engagement ring at that stage. And when I said, what'd you do with her ring? He mentioned, no, she had 2 rings.
Okay, so, but you do remember taking an engagement ring off her finger?
Yeah, she wore 2 rings.
Wore 2 rings? On the same finger, were they, or?
No, different fingers.
Yeah, what fingers were they on, do you remember?
One on the right index finger and the other on the left, I think.
Those 2 rings were extremely important to the family, and we wanted to get those rings back.
And the interview had gone for quite some time, and in desperation, in the end, pretty much we exhausted all the other inquiries. Through the interview to him, basically, like, let me know where do you remember, can you please tell us where the rings are? And he did not giving it up, and he smiled, and he loved that.
One of the things that was important was that we did not want to give Vincent any control at all in relation to our interviews.
Can you think where that would be?
No.
Was that in a bin? Do you know if that was taken to a bin? Do you know if that was thrown out a window, you know?
It would be in a bin somewhere, but have no idea where.
Which you don't know which bin?
No.
A bin in Leeton or a bin in Griffith?
In Leeton, probably.
Straight away, I was convinced at that point that he was lying to us. He knew full well where or how he disposed of that ring. I was reviewing a phone call made by Vincent to his brother whilst in jail. And in that phone call, he asked his brother if he had got the stuff that he sent him.
He'd sent a parcel to his brother's home and said, I want you to go and sell off the jewellery that's inside. Now, that jewellery was Stephanie's rings.
Detective Clark contacted me and advised that those rings had been sent to South Australia and could I attempt to locate them. So I just basically went to Google and start to look at second-hand dealers. Knowing that he was new to the area, I sort of looked at the bigger ones, sort of thinking who would have the most, you know, advertisements. So I picked the first one I thought would be the biggest one and one that he may be drawn to. And yeah, amazingly, within 2 minutes, she came back and advised that Marcus Stanford had attended their store on the 9th of May and had pawned 2 gold rings.
So in relation to the 2 rings,
Yeah.
can you tell me what you did with them?
I sold them.
And who did you sell them to?
Adelaide Jewelers in Mudbury, South Australia.
And why did you do that?
Misplaced loyalty to my brother, I would say.
Misplaced loyalty?
Yeah.
Marcus Stanford looks like his brother, looks like Vincent, but in himself and the way he speaks to police, he's got more personality.
If you've seen Marcus in the street, you take a double look to see if it is Vincent. But Marcus struck me as his personality was different. And I've said to people since that if you were in a public setting and you saw Vincent, you'd straight away think, this bloke's weird, I'm steering clear. But Marcus, you'd probably talk to him for a half hour or so. So that's where Marcus concerns me. The relationship with Marcus was different, that there seemed to be some sort of mutual respect between the two.
Do you agree that that's their photographs of Stephanie Scott's driver's licence?
Yeah.
Are they the photos that you took?
Yes.
Can you tell me why those photos?
I'm not too sure. At the time I thought in case I ever needed to show police. But I'm not too sure exactly why.
Is it taken for a memento?
No, no.
What was most concerning or relevant from a psychological perspective was that Vincent had also sent Stephanie's driver's licence to his twin brother. The reason why that was important was because it's a photo of his victim.
What did you do with the driver's licence?
I burnt it.
You burnt it? Where did you burn it?
In my wood fire.
Is that the one inside the house?
Yes.
Yep. And how come you burnt it?
Just misplaced loyalty to my brother.
It also raises questions about why an item like that would be sent to someone, particularly if they felt that they may be shocked or horrified by the crime that they had committed. It may be merely that they felt that because of the closeness of their relationship, they wouldn't feel so judged. It just raises a number of questions.
I think the relationship between Marcus and Vincent was a lot closer than he portrayed to police. Obviously, I'm aware that there were conversations on a day before the murder which went for 30 minutes or greater.
Trying to exactly recall now. It's been quite a while.
Yeah?
Yeah. Can't exactly remember.
Okay. At any time during that conversation, did Vincent mention to you that he was wanting to murder anyone or wanted to do anything like that?
No.
So there was no discussion in that phone call about anything about what he did the following day?
No, not at all.
Okay.
So it's my opinion that Vincent and Marcus would have spoken about what transpired.
Okay. Did he tell you what he was doing at that time?
He said he was driving around, but so I asked him where to, but he didn't provide a clear answer.
So now, I can tell you that the time of that phone call is after Stephanie Scott had been murdered.
Okay.
So did he mention anything to you about murdering Stephanie at that point?
No.
In that conversation,
Not at all.
phone conversation?
No.
It's not the behaviour of sibling to receive stolen property from a murder victim, then conceal it and then actively use those funds later on down the date to go and visit your brother in jail.
And you keep referring to having a misplaced loyalty to your brother.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Like,
Well, thinking about it now, I should have come forward with the envelope to the detectives in South Australia.
so is it safe to say, to assume that this misplaced loyalty you're referring to is you covering for your brother, trying to hide evidence?
Not exactly hiding evidence. Since he was already being charged, and I was quite certain he'd eventually be convicted. It was more just doing what he asked me to do.
He deleted messaging from his phone. He deleted SMS messages from his phone. Failed to mention conversations with his brother that had occurred. He obviously failed to advise myself or any other member of SA Police that he'd received an envelope. Also, he had Stephanie's driver's licence. He was clearly aware of what his brother had done and was obviously willing to assist him with disposing of evidence.
I think one of the reasons this case stuck with me was not only because of what happened to Stephanie Scott, but also the family she came from. I remember sitting and having a cup of tea with her parents and just the absolute disbelief that their young girl and this time of their life that they were supposed to be celebrating and looking forward to had just been turned into this absolute nightmare.
Dimity joins us now from Leeton. Dimity, what is planned for tomorrow, given it was supposed to be Stephanie's wedding day?
Well, Georgie, I have just received a message from Stephanie's sister wanting to spread the word about a special event that they have planned for tomorrow. They're calling it Make Mountford Park Yellow Day, and it's how they have chosen to celebrate what should have been the happiest day of Stephanie's life.
She was just on the cusp of, you know, this great, happy, beautiful occasion. Everyone in her life, and of course herself and her fiancé, must have been so absolutely just brimming with happiness and excited about life moving forward.
I was just becoming a parent at that point, and, you know, I think it was probably the first time that I had looked at a story through a parent's eyes. And I remember Stephanie's mum saying to me, you do everything you can. You can only protect your child so much, you know, from these type of monsters in society. and he is a monster. The way he attacked her, the way he approached her, targeted her, thought about her, and not just Stephanie, other women in that town. Vincent Stanford had been secretly tracking 3 women in the town, Joanne, Jennifer and Gillian, and taking photos of them covertly.
What is intriguing to me is how quickly the Australian police solved this crime, because this is a type of crime that it happens around the world and it can take up to months or years for police to solve it. But in this little town, farming area, where I can imagine this does definitely not happen every day. We're not in a big city where a lot of murders happen, so it's not something that I imagine the police are very used to handling all the time. So it's probably quite unique for them as well.
I think the dedication that the police force really showed in order to solve this quickly is really admirable. We talk about a lot of true crime cases in our podcast, and we come across a lot of investigations that go horribly wrong, where police aren't fast enough and miss, valuable leads and
they have
evidence.
This tunnel vision.
And they have tunnel vision.
Like
and so when you come across a case where people worked really very hard, were very dedicated and motivated, and caught the criminal, the killer, really quickly, that's really admirable.
If the police hadn't been so fast, then, something else horribly could have happened.
So in terms of the policing and the speed at which Vincent Stanford was detected and arrested, it's quite remarkable. And he had taken steps to dispose of the car and the ring and various things and get away with the crime, so to speak. So one can never know exactly how long it might be between one person and the next victim.
And I couldn't imagine having anyone else beside me during this investigation other than Justin. He worked his ass off, basically, if I can say that. He worked phenomenal. He was sometimes behind the scenes, the work he did was fantastic. He is very methodical in what he does. Both of us are country police. I've spent the majority of my career in the country. I think the fact that we are from this community, so we had a sense of that belonging to this community and a sense that this person has trespassed on our community that we live in and done this to a member of our community, gave us that drive that we needed to get the results that we did. Along the way, there were risks taken, and I just had to go with my gut.